And now let's take a look at what's happening with refining right here in Nigeria. So we see Billionaire responding there to reacting to the challenges we're seeing with the Dangote Refinery at this time. And this one is from, they refer to him as a strong man of the financial and capital market right here in Nigeria. That's Mr. Femi Otedola. He went to his ex and he's actually penned a message there. He says, my brother, the visionaries, built the largest single train refinery in the world, not in Kano, but in Lagos State. He's the owner of the second largest sugar refinery in the world, and also in Lagos State. And additionally, has established one of the second largest fertilizer plants in the world, soon to surpass the biggest one in Qatar and also in Lagos State. Furthermore, he's built a fertilizer plant in Lagos that already exports globally. He's called Aliko Dangote a titan that God created specially for mankind, at this point. So it's a long tweet, or X. It's not, I still call it Twitter as well. There's actually X. So right there, we have the comments right there from Mr. Femi Otedola. Then we also see the president of Gabon, that's Brice Oligui Nguema, asking the president and chief executive of Dangote Industries, Mr. Aliko Dangote, to explore investment opportunities in Gabon. During a meeting between Mr. Dangote and the Gabonese president in Libreville, President Nguema emphasized potential investments in cement and fertilizer production. So we're seeing everyone here trying to let us understand the importance of Mr. Dangote, at this point, and this refinery. Definitely, everyone wants what's best, for the country at this time. But let's drill down more now on most of these comments. We have Chinan Dikwa, Vice Chair, African Energy Council, joining me via Zoom. Chinan, great to have you.
Pleasure to be here, Ladi.
So talk to me. I'm sure you've heard all the issues right here we have with the Dangote Refinery in Nigeria. What do you make of this, saga at this point?
Well, Ladi, I think this has been a very robust discussion. Lots of people have commented on it, and I think it's great. But if I just start from, your introduction there, talking about Femi Otedola, the first thing I think, what's very poignant about that is this is the philosophy of an investor, okay? So he's coming at it from an investment standpoint, and we haven't quite heard that dimension of yet. Heard lots of analysts who have talked for and against and all of that. But if I just stay with Femi Otedola for a flip second, he looks at Dangote principally for the investment that this man has made. And quite frankly, even from my standpoint, I think he is probably the most important Nigerian that we have right now. And I don't say that very lightly. It is true. He has invested probably the most of anyone that we have seen in the last 20, 30 years. He put down $19.5 billion, for this refinery. If I put that in context, if you think about the total amount of foreign direct investment that comes into Nigeria year on year, the last few years, let's take upstream, was 50 billion. 50 billion in the whole of Africa would come into all of Africa. Nigeria would probably get at the time maybe 6 or 7 billion year on year. Dangote has put down 19.7 billion of his money, not even borrowed money from his balance sheet. A lot of the plant was financed from his balance sheet. So he's put his money where his mouth, is. And that sort of investment, it should really be humbling to anyone. And I think you hear that from Otedola. This man is single-handedly the most important Nigerian. And I think he requires a lot of protection from everyone else and not terrorism, without a doubt. And he's not the only one who's saying. So if you listen to your second statement there, Gabon are now calling him in. Because if your country do not treasure that amount of investment and the intellectual capital, the innovation capital, the risk-taking, then other countries would need that. So he's there in Libreville, like you mentioned there, talking to the president, looking at investments in cement and fertilizer and all of that. And if he moves his capital out from Nigeria, that's again capital flight that we do not want. Already we're having lots of pressure on our foreign currency and investment coming in. If we start to treat our investors, this way, there's a huge chance that there will be capital flight and they will leave. And this problem is not just in Nigeria, it's all around the world. Everyone's trying as much as possible to keep investors in and attract investment. And so far, unfortunately, the Nigerian climate is one that, sort of puts pressure on these important people and they're starting to look outside.
Right, and definitely we've heard from the billionaires, we've heard from the government, we've heard from Dangote, and I'm still wondering who's thinking about the average guy on the street, at this point, having to pay over 700 naira per liter, for fuel at this time, and we've seen how that's played into Nigeria's inflation rate, at this point.
Nadia, that's a really important question. In all of this, what's missing is the average man on the street, the man who has to go to the pump and buy diesel, petrol, 700 naira per liter. That's the question. That's the part of a discussion that we're not having. But I would say this very quickly. We had statements from the CEO of the NMDPRA this week talking about the fact that Dangote's quality, the quality of his product, is inferior compared to that of the ones that are being imported in. So the focus there is on the quality. Okay, so think about this for a split second. Here we have people, like you mentioned there, people at the pump who are struggling to get 1 liter, extremely expensive. You're telling us about the quality. Here we have people out there who are looking for this petrol, and diesel, and they can't find it. And you think the important thing to Nigerians is the quality of the diesel? Of course it's not. The reality of it here is there is a situation where, and I'll be very transparent about this, we have an investor who's coming to disrupt an incumbent sector. This incumbent sector, is driven by lots of importers, people who bring, petroleum products into Nigeria. He's coming in his Saga refinery to disrupt that. And what we're seeing, quite frankly, is fighting from these importers to try to lock him out. Because the reality of it is, once this 650,000 barrel capacity plant is up and running, and we're getting PMS from there and diesel and all of that stuff. One, the price will crash. That's a fact. Secondly, foreign exchange becomes very measured for Nigeria because our dollars will not be flying out. Pressure on foreign exchange will decrease. Ultimately, the exchange rate potentially, could see a move on that stuff. I think the reality of it is we're just finding a huge cabal, if you like, who are trying to lock it in to make sure that importing of fuel, remains the standard, and that's really unfortunate.
Yeah, definitely. I really wish that we could actually make it less profitable, for those actually profiting from importation of PMS and all of those petroleum products. But Chinan, definitely wish me luck here. I'm hoping at some point I can pay maybe 300 naira per liter, but we'll see how that goes. Thank you so much. Chinan Deko, Vice Chair, African Energy Council.